Welcome to St. Charles at Home. This is our weekly opportunity to discuss matters of importance to people in the parish. We usually begin with the homily from the previous week and see where we'll go. This week we have Angela DeMarca, a distinguished member of our parish for many years. And Angela, thank you for joining us today. And please tell us something about yourself.
Okay, so I joined St. Charles Borromeo Parish when I moved to Brooklyn Heights in 1975. In fact, my first apartment in the Heights was the apartment at 142 Clinton Street, and my apartment bedroom window faced the stained glass window of the church. So my first experience having moved into the apartment was seeing the windows all lit up in the middle of the night. It was really quite stunning. I didn't realize it was a Catholic church at the time because I was still finding my way around the neighborhood. And I was actually going to Assumption until somebody said there's a church in your backyard. So that's when I became a member of the parish. I've served on many of the committees, various committees, fundraising. I was part of I guess it was Monsignor Krause's initiative in building the tree in the back of the church during one of my periods of unemployment. So I got to know some of the people in the parish then, most of whom have either passed on to the other side or moved on to other states. I've been very fortunate. The transition that the parish has made in the last, I guess since, I would say probably the last 5 or 6 years, has been extraordinary. So many more children, so many more people. Actually, it was really an aging community for most of my tenure as a parishioner. And I've just seen a remarkable change in the faces and the ages of people that I see at church. I have to say, my favorite part of being a parishioner is the daily mass. Mm-hmm. I find that, and Father Krause knows, Father Bill knows this, that I wouldn't say that I'm a loner per se, but I do like my quiet and I've found this last pandemic experience, Sunday Mass thing, to be very rewarding in a myriad of ways. I find myself paying much more attention to what's going on in the readings because there isn't any distraction from people going back and forth to the bathroom and the children and so on. Not that I don't love them, but it does present a distraction. So I feel like I've gotten a lot more out of the Mass in the last, I guess, 8 weeks than I had prior to the pandemic. Not that I'm not saying that I don't want to go back to church, but I kind of like this solitary confinement Mass that I've been doing.
I said the first Mass in the church today,
and
in 3 months. It was a
funeral.
Well, and we had all 4 people.
Oh wow!
But what I think I enjoyed even more was the live music. We had Sergio and Coco, and after the Mass, I just sat down and said, "Could you sing more, please?"
The one thing that I find interesting during the on-screen Mass is that, and again, I'm not particularly observant, and I caught up with the fact that Coco kept changing clothes in between some of the pieces, and I realized that they were pre-recorded except for the specific holiday, like for Easter and so on. So I think I caught on to that the day of the memorial Mass for the COVID patients.
Yes. Well, we've tried to be as creative as possible with this, and to add things new every week.
Yeah.
Obviously, the responsorial psalm was new every week, and other things. But they've done their very, very best, the 3 of them, to give us a diversity of music, which kept at least partially sane. But I want to hear live
music. I know. And you want to hear the music as being sung and not the lip syncing kind of thing that it looks like when you're watching it on the screen. So
now, this week we celebrated the feast of the Holy Trinity, and it's one of the great doctrines of our church. Could you tell me what it means to you? that we say that we believe in a triune God.
Because I'm not a theologian and I need to encapsulate things into the smallest possible funnel so that my mind can wrap my mind around it, is I keep referring back to out of many one. Mm-hmm. That there are three parts of the Trinity, but out of those three parts, out of the many parts, there is one being, one God, one church, one spirit that serves as a light, I guess, for lack of a better word, to all of us. One of the things from the readings this Sunday, the second reading had really struck a note with me with Paul's letter in mending your ways, encouraging one another, agreeing with one another, living in peace. God will live in you. It really, in those very short sentences, really made a very deep impression on me on what the whole cycle of the Trinity is. And it couldn't have come at a better time because it was almost reflective of what's going on outside, out on the streets. So that, as I said, I go back to out of many one is what is the easiest way I can grasp the depth of the concept.
And that is part of what we as Catholics share with Jews that we may not share with all Protestants. That we do believe that we are called to be part of a family, of a community, and our connection with God is connection through this family. So we must always work for the health not only of the church but of the wider community as well. It's not just me and God. In your prayer life, how does the Trinity affect the way that you pray?
I don't know that this may sound really awkward. I don't know that it really does specifically, but around my home, there are various little prayers. Like I have a prayer in my kitchen, I have a prayer in my bathroom, I have a prayer in my bed, I have a little small prayer in my bedroom. I have one in my den, and one in the den is for soldiers, and one in the kitchen is to keep my kitchen safe and keep harmony in the kitchen, because growing up as an Italian, around the table, sometimes harmony wasn't always there. The little prayer in the bathroom is for purity, serenity, health in mind and body. So it's really more of mishmash of things as opposed to a specific intent, so to speak. One of the things that really has made a big impression on me has been the volunteering that I've done. And I'm sorry I haven't been able to get there more because of my knee thing, but the volunteering in Catholic Charities, where you see the community in real life there. And that has been very, really, really satisfying and really remarkable and really heartwarming, I think is for lack of a better word. For me personally, I mean, I love the people that I've met. You do get a sense of everybody and we're all in this together. There's a mixture of culture, a mixture of politics, a mixture of everything that basically brings to what you mentioned in your homily, a very vibrant, loving community. And I think, again, out of many one, you go back to that while we're all coming at the same thing from different places, we're coming together as one unit, as one unity.
I found that although, unlike the rest of you, I've had the opportunity to celebrate Mass every day. I found that the Masses were very, very beautiful because the three of us here have kind of the same spirituality. and they're very, very lovely experiences. But I found I was getting more and more of a hunger to do something. That praying is wonderful, and when we connect to Jesus with the Eucharist, it is not only a foretaste of heaven, but it's a foretaste of the service that is expected of us. So I practically was begging Monsignor, you gotta have something for me to do.
Yeah.
200 agencies, find something.
Yeah.
The packing on Thursday mornings, which has gotten wilder in the last couple of weeks because we're getting more and more stuff, and we have about 90 minutes to pack it all. There are no breaks on this. I told people, you will come, you will work, you will go home tired.
Yeah.
But also, I've been going to the pop-ups where they feed not a few hundred, but a few thousand people with really nice stuff. I might add, I do the shopping here. So, these are not
Ain't bad.
not bad brands. And I don't know where he gets the produce from, but it's wonderful.
Yeah.
But we need to make what we pray physical and real.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the Trinity too, because God did become flesh, and all the airy spirituality is is wonderful, but it needs to have it needs to be made real in the real world.
More tangible.
Yeah.
I think I may have sent you an email early on in this, in the pandemic about I had a sense at the very beginning, not so much now because we've moved on so far, but I had a sense at the beginning is feeling like one of the original Christians, where you kind of worship where you could, in secret, so to speak. I mean, not that we were in secret, but everybody was kind of logged down, shut down in their own homes, doing without computers, obviously. But it was it kind of harkened back to what it must have been like, or what it might have been like 2,000 years ago, or 1,900 years ago, with the early Christians. I mean, as I said, I don't get that sense anymore. It's really more of a everybody's in it together thing. But it's been I have to say, it's been just a very, very good, for me, a very good spiritual experience going through this whole thing the last couple of weeks. I just have so much more, I think, more depth of faith, only because I've had more time to pay attention to what's going on, listen to what's being said. And so many of the readings, and the homilies, of course, but so many of the readings just seem to tie in, or seem to have tied in to some of what's going on outside. It was almost freaky.
Yes.
It was really almost like it was preordained that this pandemic is going to happen now during this time in the liturgical calendar, because the readings are designated to work us through the crap that's going on outside, for lack of a better word. I mean, it just seemed to be very, which is why the reading from Paul the other day, when we're talking about live in peace and get along with one another, was just like, wow, like 2 short sentences, and it just said it all.
There was a medieval custom called the gesta, where you would, when you had a problem, you would go to your Bible, open it up, put your finger down, and see
where it landed.
Up. And I've done that over the years with sometimes disturbing results. I had a pastor who would, when we were having a funeral mass, the first thing he would do was go to the reading of the day, particularly since we were in a place where we kind of knew everybody.
Right.
And more times than not, it was not the reading that was put aside for funerals. It was that reading for the day that summed up the person the most and was the most beneficial. And you're right, you do look at these readings when we were doing sometimes those almost painful readings from St. John, where you're hearing, okay, I and him, he and me, we are all the. But you're looking outside and seeing first the COVID and what that was doing, dividing, of course, the tragedy of those people with pre-existing conditions,
Yeah.
sometimes traceable to long to racial histories. I lost two more. As someone called me today, two more former parishioners died.
Wow.
I stopped counting after 12.
My cleaning lady came on Friday for the first time in months, and I think she was as happy to get out of the house as I was happy to have her. Plus, we've been saving money for her. I told her, just don't come and I'll pay you while you're home. And she lost 50 people.
Yeah.
Well, they came up from St. Lucia with her, and she's really funny. I mean, she's got a very close family, but she said, in the beginning, I didn't really believe that, I thought a lot of it was made up in the news, and, sometimes things get overboard and get overplayed. So, but the first time I went out to do grocery shopping, and I guess this must have been maybe in the end of March. So she came home and she said she was sniffling and she was sneezing, and said, I knew it wasn't allergies because it wasn't allergy season. And she said, I realized that there's something out there, And she's a very spiritual person. And she said, God is sending us something to get us together or get us to pay attention. And I thought that was, again, something that kind of struck me.
And it was amazing how people did work together.
Yeah.
To protect also people like me, of a certain age.
Yeah.
This is when I have to realize, well, maybe I am early elderly, which is extraordinarily painful to accept. But then we also now have the civil distress in the country.
Yeah.
And those words mean even more. What are we willing to do to make our society one that is bound by love, where we do accept each other as persons? And as I mentioned, the best definition of a person is someone who is loved.
Was loved, yeah. I thought the last sentence of your homily kind of was a remarkable summation of everything you wrote that you said in the homily. That last, was it no love, no justice?
Yeah.
Yeah, that summed it up.
But since then, I heard a better one.
Okay.
Brother Brian Massengill, a professor of Fordham, translated Black Lives Matter into Catholic speak. And this is Black lives are sacred.
Okay.
And I think that's what the Trinity can tell us that we've lost. We've lost the sacredness of life. Just look at the unborn.
Yeah. You make it very.
If we really believed that this is more that this is sacred, then we would do what would be necessary to help babies be brought to term and to educate them, and to provide what was needed. If we believed that everybody was sacred, we would treat each other differently, and the world would be different.
Yeah.
I think the whole thing there's a wonderful thing in the church, which we don't preach about enough, that God became man so that man could become God. It's not pantheism. It's Saint Athanasius, and it was the theory of sanctifying grace. Remember that we are old enough to remember sanctifying
grace.
Remember that the life of God inside
the Baltimore Catechism.
Baltimore Catechism, which, all that stuff which I made fun of for so many years, now that I'm older and I realized what wisdom there was there, I didn't understand it then. Now these little pithy phrases come up.
That's why I say I like bringing things down to this. My fifth grade, Sister Diane Marie was my fifth grade teacher in my Catholic grammar school, and she was a remarkable. I still quote some of the things that she said because she was a remarkable teacher, very bright Dominican. But when she taught us how we started to write, we had to start writing, for college, for high school, and so on. And she came in one day with a funnel.
Mm-hmm.
And she held up the funnel and she said, does everybody know what this does? And we're, okay, sister, if you're really going off the deep end. And she put a whole bunch of pieces of paper in the funnel. And she said, all these pieces of paper are ideas. And she started shaking the funnel, and some of the paper came out. And she said, all these ideas that you have to streamline them so that they make sense. And I don't think I ever write anything now without thinking about all this stuff in here, bringing it down to one simple, thought-provoking paragraph, sentence, phrase, and that's what the Baltimore Catechism was.
Yep.
I mean, it was just like these very simple phrases that you like, whoa.
And that popped up, and now I can see what sanctifying grace meant.
Yeah.
We really do change. This again is something different between Catholics and Protestants. Protestants, on the whole, believe in forensic justification, which simply means we're always bad, even we're so broken, God can't change us. But of His great love and mercy, we're washed in the blood of the Lamb, but we're not really changed. For Catholics, we're changed.
Yeah.
Why we talk about being in the state of grace, and so we're supposed, our connection to God and to each other literally is supposed to change us and to make us more like God, more like Jesus, and that's the love that the Trinity gives us.
Yeah, I think that's what's happened. I think I go back to this last 8 weeks, whatever it's been, that I know myself spiritually I've changed in the last 8 weeks, and I really do think that because I've had the time to pay attention to what's being said and focus on it. I mean, I do the Mass from my bedroom, and there's a tree that I've seen change. I mean, it's gone through seasons from March until it had no leaves. Now it's got leaves, it's flowered, it's leaf. And I really do feel that I've crossed over to some other place in my spirituality.
As we end now, could you say one thing that you've learned through this? One sentence.
I think people have to pay more attention to what's going on.
Okay. Couldn't end better than that. And we thank you very much for your time. And hopefully we can all be together in the same room at the same time again.
Is there an open date? Or is the bishop? No, not yet, huh?
Not yet. Just pray.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.